So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg.
So what is there to add to the story of Ricky Gervais and the Golden Globes? By now you've seen it.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
It was the highlight of Gervais's career. He was kicking ass with class, and it was glorious. Unless, of course, you believe that it didn't really happen. Some people think it was about as fake as the moon landing. And for the record, that's a joke. I do not believe the official story about JFK, but I do believe that the moon landing was real. Conspiracy theories are interesting, and I used to think I was kind of a conspiracy theory guy. And then the internet happened, and I found out that I'm pretty sane by comparison. Having said that, conspiracy theories and cover-ups are no longer the domain of the paranoid fringe. That is Jeffrey Epstein's one great gift to the world.
So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein.
It's hard for any thinking person to maintain that cover-ups and conspiracies do not happen. And the biggest conspiracy theories are the craziest, but the small ones can seem pretty crazy too. Take this one from Lionel, for example.
And Ricky Gervais, well, whoever was responsible for this, pulled the biggest con because America honestly thinks, boy, that Ricky nailed it. Boy, he just shined a light and exposed Hollywood for what it is. Ooh, boy, that was great. He nailed it. Ricky Gervais and that whole thing played you like a fiddle. They wrote a script. It's in the prompter. He's reading it. It's all approved. He killed. He nailed it. Ricky Gervais was allowed to say what he said and was allowed to kill. He put a script in the prompter. You turn it in. The producer saw it, the director saw it, the cameraman saw it, the prompter operator. He didn't wing this.
And you put two and two together and came up with 22?
It was approved. It was understood. It was allowed. It was their attempt to say, see? Boy, Ricky got the best of us, huh? Deliberate move on the, let's face it, the deep state pedo-wood Hollyweirds part to pretend to expose their shortcomings. But what this was their attempt to say, see, we're doing the best we can. We're admitting this. We're not hiding from our foibles. And what happens is, when you admit something, you hear crickets. The American public is saying, oh, okay, yeah.
Lionel is someone I watch and enjoy. And the mandatory cliche is that I have to tell you that I don't agree with everything he says. And this is a good example of that. In fact, his commentary on the Golden Globes incident makes me think that he might be working too hard. When you start seeing conspiracies in award show monologues, then it might be time to take a step back.
It was bullshit. They conned you. You think it was real. You think... They said, somebody stop him. How can he say that? Go to commercial. Go to commercial.
There, you see? Lionel wasn't fooled. He knows that the Ricky Gervais monologue was a setup. An award show monologue was a setup. And it was obviously rehearsed, because the cameras caught the stars at the appropriate moments.
They have to coordinate with the director, because the director's got to say, okay, coming up, Ricky's going to be doing the De Niro joke and the little Yoda joke. Camera 2, hit. Here we're going to go to this next. You see Tom Hanks? Wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? This man did a movie where he talked to a volleyball. He's a good actor. What is this? Okay, cut to 2. Jonathan Price, get ready for your pissed off look about the Pope. Ready? 3, 2, 1, hit it.
You're telling me that it looked rehearsed because they knew where to point the cameras? Would you mind telling me how they pull that trick for, say, a professional football game? That's a live event with a lot going on, and somehow the cameras are always pointed in the right place. How do they manage to know where to point the cameras to get a fan doing something silly, or a celebrity in the stands? And how do they get the cameras pointed right at the action from multiple angles? Do you suppose that they might have a team of people in a control booth doing all that? And an event like the Golden Globes runs similarly. They have as many cameras as a casino. They don't have to rehearse the camera work to get the reactions. However, Lionel has a real point when he says that Gervais was allowed to say what he said. That is true. I put the Gervais monologue on for some of my family to watch, and we were wondering just how that performance managed to make it onto that stage. And to me it begs the question, who allowed it? Well, obviously, they allowed it. They did.
They knew this. They wanted this.
They allowed it. But who is they?
Let's face it, the deep state pedo-wood Hollyweirds.
This mysterious they used Ricky Gervais as a sock puppet?
No. It was mostly white people. And I thought, nah, not on my watch. So, maybe next year. Let's see what happens. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV.
For me to believe this, I have to believe that all these studios got together in a nefarious meeting like underworld bosses, arranging their business in spite of being competitors, and that they somehow determined that this speech was the best thing for business. Oh, and apparently the stars themselves were in on it.
Okay, cut to 2. Jonathan Price, get ready for your pissed off look about the Pope. Ready? 3, 2, 1, hit it. Hey, Leonardo, called you out on those girls. He sure did. Hoo-wee. You know who else got upset? The people who were left out. Felicity Huffman was hit, but not Lori Loughlin.
The reality is that the Golden Globes are put on by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Now, I realize that name begins with the word Hollywood, but that doesn't mean much. Federal Express is not run by the federal government. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association is a group of journalists, entertainment writers, and they are to Hollywood as sports writers are to Major League Sports. They live off each other and they feed off each other, but they are not one entity. Entertainment writers don't have much of a job delivering nothing but puff pieces. They want scandal and shock and salacious material. Movie reviews are their bread and butter, but gossip and infamy, that's their sports cars. The press loves to do this, and not in the service of Hollywood. It's in their own interests. The Golden Globes did air on NBC, though, and NBC owns Universal Studios. But for me to believe that NBC allowed this as a single entity, I would have to believe that the top heads of the NBC empire personally okayed Gervais' speech. And that's one hell of a stretch. It was TV executives at the most who gave this the green light. And those TV executives are interested in their own ratings and their own buzz. There doesn't have to be a major conspiracy for the Gervais monologue to make it onto TV. I can't believe that I'm debunking an award show conspiracy theory. But there's more I've got to say, though, because I have to wonder what the goal was. What was this master plan supposed to be? Our new scheme cannot fail. We'll have Ricky Gervais mock our perversions and our hypocrisy. The people will love it. But the joke will be on them. We did it on purpose!
Talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies.
It was funny. It was true.
What was that?
It was true.
Oh, it was true. The public got to hear the truth. Well, if it was true, then what difference does it make even if they allowed him to say it? The truth was uttered publicly in a high-profile setting, and the truth is no less true if someone is allowed to say it. If this is some sort of psyop, then it's the worst psyop of all time. Are they trying to distract us from the truth by giving us the truth? What the hell kind of operation is that?
It's a smokescreen?
It makes no sense for Hollywood, as an entity, to want someone to undermine any and all politically correct babble from their stars. It makes no sense for them to want to remind us about their connection to someone like Epstein. It makes no sense for them to remind us that they are partnered with amoral corporations who do underhanded things. According to Lionel, Hollywood and this nefarious and nebulous they wanted Ricky Gervais to point a spotlight on their hypocrisy. I guess so that people will forgive it or overlook it? Is that how it works? People hear about elitist scumbaggery and they forget about it?
It was spot on. He zinged a few, and absolutely nothing changes.
I realize that injustice still exists, even after Gervais's speech. I understand that I personally can't get up out of my chair and find the evidence that will incriminate Epstein's killers or bring down a major corporation. But I do know that every bit of knowledge that gets passed around to the people and by the people damages elitist agendas. It takes money from their businesses. It takes votes from their chosen political parties. And I do actually agree with Lionel that a lot of people are overstating the effect that the Golden Globes monologue has. But all the same, it does have value. No one is going to disregard all this just because someone said it as a punchline while wearing a tuxedo. On the contrary, people are going to be replaying this, quoting this, and memeing this for months, or maybe even years to come. If this shadowy they arranged this, then it was a colossal failure.